The Mouse Who Knew the Way. The tavern cat is usually punctual, not polite, punctual. He knows when the fire's just right, when the floorboards have finished settling, when the night has made up its mind about whether it wants trouble or peace. On this particular evening, the night had chosen neither. It hovered, waiting. I was behind the bar, counting nothing in particular, when the door opened without knocking. That alone was unusual. The cat padded in, tail high, whiskers forward, carrying a mouse gently between his teeth. I stopped what I was doing. We have rules in the tavern. Few of them are written, but all of them are understood. One of them is very simple. No live prey indoors. I set the cloth down and sighed. Huh. Why, I asked him, did you bring that in here? The cat released the mouse onto the floor with care. Too much care. The mouse didn't run. It didn't squeak. It didn't do a single thing a mouse ought to do when dropped in the middle of a tavern run by a lion. Instead, it sat. The cat raised one paw and pointed at it. I frowned. He pointed again, sharper this time, tail flicking in irritation, as if I were being deliberately slow. That's not a mouse, I said. The cat sat satisfied and wrapped his tail neatly around his feet. The mouse trembled. Not in fear, at least that's what I thought. Its shape wavered, edges blurring like heat rising off stone. The air around it smelled suddenly of damp earth and crushed leaves. Bones shifted, fur receded, light folded in on itself. Where the mouse had been, a young woman now knelt on the tavern floor, palms pressed flat against the wood like she was afraid it might vanish beneath her. She looked up at me, eyes wide, breathing hard. I thought this place was a myth, she said. I've heard those words before in 100 different tones, hopeful, bitter, relieved, afraid. This was all four. The cat hopped off the bar, walked past us, and settled near the fire like he'd just delivered a package exactly where it belonged. I offered the girl my hand. She hesitated only a moment before taking it. Her grip was calloused. Traveler's hands. Druid's hands. When I pulled her onto her feet, she swayed, unsteady, as though part of her still expected to be no taller than a mug. Most people do, I said. Myths are easier than explanations. She laughed once, short and breathless, then clamped a hand over her mouth like she was afraid the sound might get her in trouble. This is it, she said softly, turning in a slow circle. The Wandering Tavern. I nodded. It wanders. Well, the rest stays put. I poured her a drink, warm, grounding, steeped with herbs that help the body remember its own weight. She accepted it with both hands and didn't drink right away, just breathed in the steam. I didn't mean to intrude, she said. I was hiding. I thought if I stayed small enough, quiet enough. Her voice trailed off. The cat opened one eye and stared at her, unimpressed. He notices everything, I said, especially things that don't belong where they're pretending to. She smiled at that, despite herself. I'm a druid, she said, as if explaining it was a crime. Wild shape comes easy to me. Too easy, maybe. When you spend long enough, small enough, You start to believe that's all you're allowed to be. I leaned against the bar. You chose to be a mouse, I said. That tells me plenty. She looked up. It does? Mice survive, I replied. They listen. They hide. They find crumbs where others see nothing. That's not cowardice. That's endurance. Her shoulders lowered a fraction. I was being hunted, she admitted. Not for what I've done, but for what I might do. The fire crackled softly. You came here as a mouse, I said gently, but you stood up as yourself. She stared into the fire for a long time. When I was a child, she said, I was told the world needed watching, guarding, that I had to be vigilant, ready. She flexed her fingers. I got tired of being ready. There it was, fatigue. I set a small wooden token on the bar, smooth, unmarked. People think we fix things here, I said. We don't. We hold them steady long enough for them to decide. She turned the token slowly. What if I leave, she asked, and I'm still afraid? Then you'll be afraid somewhere else, I said, but you won't be alone with it anymore. The cat thumped his tail once, decisive. Outside, the wind brushed past the windows and moved on. The night had made its choice. She finished her drink and stood straighter than she had before. I don't know what comes next, she said. Good, I replied. That means it's yours. The cat escorted her to the door, sitting tall as she stepped out into the dark. Before leaving, she looked back once. Thank you, she said, for believing me. I nodded. The door closed. The cat returned to his place by the fire and curled up, already asleep. I tended the embers and let the tavern breathe. Some nights a mouse walks in, some nights a druid walks out, and some nights the myth proves itself true, not by being grand, but by being kind. I stayed where I was. That's what I do.